Well, it's been a long time since Texas A&M had a clear-cut wide receiver one heading into a football season, but that might finally be changing. Kevin KC Concepcion isn't just a big pickup. He might be the most dynamic receiver A&M has had on campus since Christian Kirk. Welcome back to the Player Spotlight series, guys. We kicked things off with Ruben Owens, followed up with Cassius Howell, and today we're diving into a guy that might be the biggest X factor on Texas A&M's offense this fall. It's wide receiver KC Concepcion. This series is all about breaking down key Aggie playmakers heading into the 2025 season, what they bring to the table, how they fit, and what we can realistically expect from them. So if you enjoyed these kind of deep dive videos, tune in, like, subscribe. I'll put out several more throughout the offseason. We have Le'Veon Moss, Marcel Reed, Scooby Williams coming right up. Let me know what you think of KC, guys. Put it in the comments below. But let's talk about him. He's obviously one of the most dynamic receivers we've had at A&M in some time, at least going into a season. And I'd argue he's the most versatile, exciting weapon we've seen since Christian Kirk. He's not the biggest guy, listed around 5'11", 185, 190, but he plays with great balance, body control, and power for his, relatively average size. His ability to break angles with acceleration and make guys miss in space is elite. And if you're looking for a comp, the one I've been throwing out there is Ainias Smith. Both guys are dangerous after the catch. Both guys have a lot of strength and balance as ball carriers, especially for their size. Both guys are gadget capable. Both can take handoffs, motion across formation, even throw a pass if you ask them to, and that is something that KC Concepcion did at NC State, at least his freshman year. Now, KC may be a little bit longer and faster, while Ainias might have had a little bit more pure quickness, but one key point, I don't think Ainias was ever fully utilized in the maroon and white. Between the quarterback instability that kind of plagued the Jimbo Fisher era post-Kellen Mond, maybe a conservative offense, we never quite saw Ainias reach his ceiling. With KC and under Colin Klein, that's got to be one of the biggest priorities going into the season. How do you get this kid involved? Because we can finally see that kind of player thrive if he's used in a way that maximizes his skill set. So let's talk about his time at NC State. Had its ups and downs. Let's just be totally honest about it. He exploded onto the scene as a freshman. Over 1,100 all-purpose yards, including 300 plus on the ground, threw some passes, lined up as a Wildcat quarterback. Just absurd productivity for a freshman. But year two, a bit of a step back. His numbers were basically cut in half. 500 all-purpose yards, under 500, under 50 yards rushing, which is just a far cry from the 300 plus rushing he had his freshman year. And yes, some of that is on him, and he will admit that it wasn't the year he had hoped for himself. And yes, there's a work ethic kind of boost behind that, at least if you hear him speak and what he expects from himself going into his junior year. He had some drops that year, a little bit of inconsistency, but to be fair, a lot of it came down to some system stuff. I mean, he lost the rhythm he had with Brennan Armstrong in 2023. The offense fell apart last season, and eventually NC State moved away from OC Robert and I. So is it concerning, that sophomore slump? I mean, it's something to watch for sure, but the talent is still undeniable. He's gifted, as I said, and as he said, he's motivated. And he lands in a system that's built to create mismatches and get guys like him the ball in space. At least that's what we're hoping for and expect from an offense that features him as well as other dynamic playmakers around him. So hopefully this is the best case scenario for his development. Hopefully A&M and Colin Klein can figure this thing out and get guys in space, playmakers that they didn't necessarily have last season once Ruben Owens went down for the year, and you were kind of stuck in this power running system with a little bit of pass catching upside, but not much. It's a whole new ball game for Colin Klein in year two, and we'll talk a lot about that because Colin Klein, with guys like KC Concepcion, guys like Bussy coming back, guys like Le'Veon and Ruben Owens coming in, he has all the tools he'll ever need. And this is the real test for all of you guys that are either out on Colin Klein, on the fence on Colin Klein, still behind Colin Klein. There's really no reason this offense shouldn't thrive this year with guys like KC. But let's talk about where he fits in the offense. The room has obviously been totally reshaped, and now KC is the guy. And yes, you bring in a Mario Craver, and he's going to have a great role here. Had a great freshman year in his own right last season at Mississippi State. But KC is the elder statesman. KC's going to be the oldest in a very, very young receiver room, and you lose your leadership from last year. Noah Thomas and the whole cast, Ja'Day Walker and others from last year are gone. The main receivers surrounding him now, Craver, Terry Bussey, young guys, Ashton Bethel-Roman, Isaiah Williams. Some explosive guys who can stretch the field and maybe make stuff happen after the catch, but KC still has to be the leader here. I think even given our extremely high hopes and what we've seen from a guy like Craver and Bussey, KC has to set that tone. So we'll see what a guy like Jerome Miles can bring to the room as well, but KC's the guy. He's a true receiver one, and it's the one that we haven't had in quite a while. So he's the focal point. He's going to be used in motion. He's going to be in the slot and out wide. You have to imagine he'll be moved around. There is no true size-oriented pecking order. I don't think you're going to have a clear X. You're not going to have a clear Z. I don't think, because you don't really have those body types. You have a bunch of just average height to smaller receivers. So we're going to see guys move around a lot, and KC should be no exception. So you're going to see jet sweeps, bubbles, quick hitters, I would think, in Colin Klein's offense, and a lot of RPOs that get these receivers in space in the short game, stuff that Marcel Reed can operate very well given even his late previous season skill set. I know we need to see some elevation to Marcel's game, but if you're just looking at baseline Marcel, the stuff that KC does on the field can kind of go hand in hand with what Marcel is already pretty good at, and that's short game. So guys like KC, not only him, but Craver and Bussey can play ball with that Marcel already has. So it's a really kind of good hand-in-glove fit with this receiver catch-and-run skill set that you have, and a guy like Marcel who's still developing downfield but can make stuff happen here. So if this offensive staff is as creative as they've promised to be, KC's productivity could be huge, and more importantly, his impact could even be bigger than his stat line. He could just be a game changer. He can be a catch a ball 5 yards downfield, break it for 30 any given play. And we hope to see that time and time again. But that's the breakdown on KC Concepcion. Versatile, electric, ready to lead this receiver room into the new era. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How big of a year are you expecting from KC? Is he the true wide receiver one we're hoping and honestly needing him to be? And what are your concerns, if any? Does that sophomore slump really concern you? Or do you think this change of scenery is just what he needed? But next up in the series, we've got some of the KC's supporting cast coming up. Le'Veon Moss, Marcel Reed will be coming right up in this player spotlight. Tell me who else you want to hear about. Thanks for watching. Like and sub. Gig 'em.